The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Texas Motor Speedway, and we see a really wild race. It takes 5.5 hours to complete and eventually ends with Tyler Reddick picking up the victory. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to your video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Texas Motor Speedway. A lot happened in this race. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, before the green flag dropped in today's race, Justin Haley, Cody Ware, BJ McLeod would all end up going to the rear for unapproved adjustments. So at the start of the race, you have Brad Keselowski lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and Brad Keselowski and Logano battled for a lap, and then eventually Keselowski was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, as the run was continuing on, Bubba Wallace would have to come down pit road due to some steering issues, and he would come down pit road. Eventually, around lap 33, Brad Keselowski would have some problems where he basically drifted up the racetrack and would end up losing the race lead to Joey Logano. The first caution race to come out of lap 40 for Mark Truex Jr., who spun from 9th position, what seemed like a flat tire. He would bring out the first yellow of this race. All leaders ended up coming down pit road, with William Byron winning the race off pit road and Brad Keselowski getting a speeding penalty off of pit road as well. So on the restart, William Byron lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and Joe Logano was able to lead for a second, and then William Byron cleared for the race lead. Then a few laps later, another Toyota would run into problems, that being Kyle Busch, where Kyle Busch basically spun off of the wall in turn number 4, bringing out the caution in this race and taking him out of contention after suffering a ton of damage. So on the restart, William Byron lead the field from the outside with Joe Logano on the inside, and William Byron was able to clear for the race lead. Then, once again, another caution came out a lap later for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who spun on the front stretch after contact with Ty Dillon. Then on the restart, once again, you have William Byron lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and William Byron was able to clear for the race lead. As the run continued on for a little bit, another yellow strike at lap number 78 for Christopher Bell, who had a flat, I believe, left rear or left front tire, right front tire, and would bring out the caution, was able to get it down pit road. Meanwhile, Cole Custer would also lose a tire under the caution and would basically fall out of the race because he got a ton of damage. We see a little bit of strategy in this race where guys like Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, Mark Truex Jr., and Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe would all come down pit road while the rest leaders decided to stay out. So on the restart, William Byron lead the field from the inside with Denny Hamlin on the outside, and William Byron was able to clear and get the race lead. Then a few laps later, William Byron got really loose and lost the race lead. Then Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin battled for the race lead, and then Kyle Larson got around them to take the race lead. Then Larson started pulling away after a really good battle, but then around 8 laps later, his Hendrick teammate Alex Bowman would run into trouble where he got into the outside wall and had a tire issue, bringing out the caution and suffering a ton of damage. We see some strategy in this race where guys like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Joe Logano would stay out while the rest leaders would come down pit road. Chris Buescher would get a removing equipment penalty and would have to restart at the tail end of the field. So on the restart, you had Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Denny Hamlin on the outside, and Kyle Larson got a really good jump and was able to clear for the race lead. Then near the end of the stage, on the last lap of the stage, there was contact between Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson was holding up Denny Hamlin, was basically holding Denny Hamlin off, and Denny Hamlin really came off of the corner. There was contact, but then Kyle Larson held on to the lead, and he would come off the corner and win stage number 1. Denny Hamlin, after the stage, showed his displeasure against Kyle Larson. Really don't understand why Denny Hamlin's mad there. I don't think Hamlin really had any place to there because it's Denny Hamlin's fault clearly, but Hamlin was really frustrated. Then all the guys that did not pit near the end of stage 1, they would end up coming down pit road. And that would actually hand Ricky Stenhouse Jr. the race lead. So on the restart, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. lead the field from the inside with Michael McDowell on the outside, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, Tyler Reddick would have to come back down pit road from 2nd position with a vibration. And then a few laps later, around 7 laps later, Harrison Burton, who had really been struggling most of the year, he gets around Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and is able to clear for the race lead when Stenhouse loses momentum. And then a few laps later, while Harrison Burton is leading, Christopher Bell was basically spun on turn number 4 from 7th position after losing a tire on lap 137, bringing out the caution. Then all leaders would end up coming down pit road. And while Harrison Burton had the race lead, he would suffer some major problems on pit road, where basically they had a fire on his pits, and unfortunately ended up going a lap down because of it. Because of that, I believe that Ross Chastain actually won the race off pit road. So then on the restart, you had Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside with Ross Chastain on the outside, and Chase Elliott was able to clear for the lead and take the race lead. As the run was continuing on with Chase Elliott leading the race, we see probably one of the worst wrecks we've seen so far of 2022. Cody Ware would get into the outside wall after I think a tire went down, and then he would basically hit the outside wall extremely hard, had no control of the car, and hit the inside wall extremely hard. Cody Ware had a very, very nasty and a vicious hit, one of the worst hits I've seen of the next-gen era. I've said my piece on the next-gen car. The next-gen cars have to be basically fixed. Luckily for Cody Ware, he actually had to go to the infield care center, but luckily for him, he was released from the infield care center a couple hours ago. Good to see that. Wishing for a speedy recovery. They're hoping he will continue the race next week at Talladega, but he's going to have to get approved. After a little bit of a long caution that ended up happening, a bunch of guys would basically stay out on the track. That being Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, and Bubba Wallace, while everyone else came down pit road. Then Kyle Larson had to come back down pit road because he had a loose right side tire and had to get the blood nuts more tight. So on the restart, Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside with Ryan Blaney on the outside, and Chase Elliott would get a really good jump and was able to clear for the race lead. And then Bubba Wallace would get a little bit loose a few laps later. Meanwhile, while Chase Elliott's leading the race, he has a tire issue and gets into the outside wall after losing a tire while leading the race, bringing out the caution and unfortunately falling out of the race. Meanwhile, Eric Jones would come down the road during the caution because he thought it was close, thinking he had something broke on the car. Going back to Chase Elliott, just lost a tire right there and fell out of the race. So on the restart, Ryan Blaney lead the field from the inside with Daniel Suarez on the outside, and Ryan Blaney was able to clear Daniel Suarez to get the race lead. A few laps later, Chris Buescher would spin from 10th position, luckily did not get a ton of damage, but this would bring out the caution in this race. Then we see a little bit of strategy where guys like Eric Almirola, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Justin Haley would come down the road, while others stayed out. So on the restart, with 9 laps going to stage, you have Ryan Blaney lead the field from the inside, with William Byron on the inside, and then we see Ryan Blaney hold the lead and able to clear William Byron. And coming off the final corner, Ryan Blaney would end up pulling off basically William Byron to win stage number 2. Then we see some guys come down the road and actually stay out. Guys like Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Harrison Burton, Kyle Reddick would end up staying out, while the rest of the leaders, including Kyle Larson, would come down pit road. Meanwhile, like everything else has happened in this race at this point, we would have a red flag due to rain and lightning. Now, the shower wasn't that big, but there would be a lightning hole for 56 minutes, because what else can happen in this race? Pretty much a lightning hold would end up happening and a rain shower would end up happening. Luckily, though, we were able to get back going in the race. So on the restart, you have Michael McDowell leading, who basically said he didn't even have 4th gear. He would restart with the lead, and Eric Jones on the outside. And basically, Michael McDowell was able to clear for the race lead for a few laps. And then Tyler Reddick, who had already recovered from his issues, would get around Michael McDowell and get to the race lead. As Tyler Reddick had the lead over 2nd place, I believe it was Eric Jones at the time. Chris Buescher, who was actually catching the 2 in front of him with around 90 laps to go, he unfortunately ended up losing a tire from 3rd position, bringing out the caution, and unfortunately taking him out of the contention. Some guys that basically stay out, basically guys like Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., William Byron would stay out, while the rest leaders would come down pit road, with Kyle Larson winning the race off pit road. And then on the restart, Kevin Harvick lead the field from the inside, with Martin Truex Jr. on the outside, and Kevin Harvick would get a really good jump and was able to clear for the race lead. Unfortunately, though, a few laps later for Kevin Harvick, like everyone else in the race, it seems like he would end up losing a tire while leading going into turn number 4, bringing out the caution, not taking clearly out of contention, but taking him out of contention to win in this race, bringing out the caution. Then we see some guys basically come down pit road. Guys like Ross Chastain, Harrison Burton, Chase Briscoe would all come down pit road, while the rest of the field would stay out. So on the restart, Martin Truex Jr. lead the field from the inside with William Byron on the outside, and Martin Truex Jr. was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, there would be some contact a few laps later between William Byron and Denny Hamlin. There was some major contact. It would go back and forth where William Byron got into the outside wall. But then, a few laps later, just like Kevin Harvick, another leader would run into trouble. Martin Truex Jr. lose a tire from the race lead. After pulling way to a big lead, he would lose a tire and unfortunately fall out of this race. Really tough break for Martin Truex Jr. He's had an up and down year this year. Has not scored a victory up to this point this year. He would end up, unfortunately, falling out of this race. Meanwhile, William Byron and Denny Hamlin would have some contact during the caution where Denny Hamlin got spun by William Byron under the yellow flag. After that, there was some contact between both William Byron and Denny Hamlin, who had contact on the backstretch under the caution flag all the way down the backstretch, and no penalties would end up being handed to both of the drivers, which was a very big shock because Denny Hamlin's crew chief, Chris Gabehart, was calling for penalties to happen. We see some strategy in this race, once again, where guys like Stenhouse, Todd Gillen, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe all would stay out while the rest leaders would come down pit road, and Tyler Reddick would take 2 tires while most other drivers took 4 tires. So then on the restart, on lap 277, you had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. leading the field from the inside with Todd Gillen on the outside. And we see basically Ricky Stenhouse Jr. have the race lead for a little bit. And then we see Tyler Reddick get up there and get the race lead. And then I believe the final caution, or the second to last caution race, will come out lap 300 for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who had a tire going down. He would end up spinning and collected Austin Cindric, bringing out the caution. Not sure if it really was a tire issue for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but unfortunately, he would bring out the caution in this race. A little bit of strategy happened where guys like Ross Chastain, Eric Jones, and Ty Dillon would come down pit road. So on the restart, you had Tyler Reddick lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and Tyler Reddick was able to clear for the race lead. But on that same lap, Eric Almirola would end up spinning and basically going up in front of Ross Chastain and bring out the final caution of today's race. And then we go back racing with 25 laps to go, with Tyler Reddick leading the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside. And Tyler Reddick was able to get around and was able to pull out to a pretty big lead. Some guys end up getting sideways. Guys like Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin get sideways. But it would all come down to Tyler Reddick, who was catching lap traffic near the end. But it would not matter near the end. And coming off the final corner, after 5.5 hours of grueling and watching kind of a crazy race, Tyler Reddick comes off the corner and picks up his 3rd career NASCAR Cup Series victory, his 3rd win of 2022, becoming only the 2nd driver in 2022 to win more than 2 races this season, and picks up his 1st career all victory and getting RCR their 4th win of 2022. Tyler Reddick, in my opinion, deserves this win. Survived a really grueling race, bounced back from his own adversity in this race because it seems like everyone really struggled with adversity pretty much throughout the entire race. Really happy to see that Tyler Reddick was able to pick up the victory tonight. Good to see the 8-team win. I think they could have been a championship 4 contender if not getting knocked out at Bristol, because this 8-team really is fast right now. It's a shame that they didn't get to go and run for a championship now, but Reddick will be looking to try to get some momentum near the end, because we don't even know if he's going to be where he's going to be next year, whether it's going to be RCR in a 3rd car or what, or it'll be at another team. We don't know that at this particular point, even though Richard has indicated they're going to keep him in the team. Good to see Tyler Reddick end up winning tonight. Congratulations, Reddick, on picking up his 3rd career victory. So now, we're finally going to go ahead and go through the results of tonight's race, give you my score of today's race. So Tyler Reddick picks up the victory. Joey Logano finished 2nd. Good run from Joey Logano. Going to be a lot of points for him. Justin Haley with a really strong 3rd place run. Justin Haley's had a couple really strong races this year where he's run well. This one is no exception. Had a good night tonight. He finishes 3rd. Ryan Blaney with a very solid performance tonight. Struggled in the beginning of today's race, but he bounces back and finishes a very solid top 5 run. Good run from Ryan Blaney. Chase Briscoe. How about Chase Briscoe getting a top 5 finish? Considering he really struggled for the most part of the day, did some good strategy calls. Some playoff guys have problems, and now they're in a much better position after this race. Chase Briscoe finishes in 5th. Eric Jones had a very solid run in 6th place finish. Good run from Eric Jones tonight. William Byron, he ends up finishing 7th. Good run from William Byron despite the struggles tonight he had near the end. Brad Keselowski, who won the pole and led a lot of laps tonight. Good run from Brad Keselowski in 8th position. Kyle Larson, who won a stage today, he finishes in 9th. Denny Hamlin finishes in 10th. Saw a run from Denny Hamlin. Michael McDowell ran top 15 a majority of the day. He finishes in 11th. Daniel Suarez, we got some good points today. He finishes in 12th. Ross Chastain finishes in 13th. Corey LaJoie, very solid top 15 finish in 14th. Austin Cindric finishes in 15th. Ty Dillon finishes in 16th. Austin Dillon finishes 17th. Harrison Burton, who had a really good run today, probably the best run he's had all year, he finishes 18th. Kevin Hart finishes in 19th despite the damage he got. Ty Gibbs, who's really nowhere tonight, he finishes in 20th. Noah Gragson finishes in 21st. Landon Castle finishes 22nd. Garrett Smithley, 23rd. Eric Almirola finishes 24th. Bubba Wallace, who had steering problems in the race like Bristol, he finishes in 25th. BJ McLaughlin finishes 26th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 27th for him. 28th for Todd Gillen. 29th for Alex Bowman. 30 for Chris Buescher, 31st for Martin Truex Jr., 32nd for Chase Elliott, 33rd for Cody Ware, 34th for Christopher Bell, 35th for Cole Custer, and finishing last in 36th in tonight's race is Kyle Busch, who only gets his second DNF so far of the 2022 season. So, and here's I'm going to go ahead and check the playoff standings, and we'll take a look at the playoff standings here in just a second. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings. So Joey Logano is 30 points above the cutoff line. Ross Chastain is 18 above the cutoff line. William Byron is 17 above. Kyle Larson is 16 above. Ryan Blaney's 15 above. Danny Hamlin is 8 above. Daniel Suarez is 4 above. And Chase Elliott is also 4 above. The 4 currently below, Chase Briscoe is 4 below. Austin Cindric is 11 below. Christopher Bell is 29 below. And then Alex Bowman is 30 below. Christopher Bell and Alex Bowman are in must-win situations. Cindric just cannot have another bad race. And then I think the only one that's kind of in decent shape, going to be really decent shape if they have problems at Talladega is Joey Logano, but no one, in my opinion, is really safe at the moment. So now I want to talk my overall thoughts on today's race. I'm going to give you my score. Honestly, I'm going to be for real with this race. I'm not a very happy camper after today's race. Now, I'm going to say this. There were points of this race that I thought were okay. There was decent racing up front. You had decent side-by-side racing. But all of the issues with this next-gen car and all the safety problems with this car, unfortunately, overshadowed this race. And there was points where this race was single file. Was this the worst NASCAR race of all time? No, absolutely not. I thought the All-Star race was worse than this race. I'm just going to say that. But this race was really, really bad. And I'm going to be talking about Texas Motor Speedway, what I would like to do. But I would personally love for NASCAR to go back to the old configuration if they're going to keep going this track. I know I said on social media tonight they want this track demolished. I think the thing that saves it is they got to change the track. They got to do something about it. Turn it back to the old configuration because this was such an embarrassing race in my opinion. It was really, really bad. Terrible officiating. No penalties for drivers. I should have gotten penalties and tempers flaring and all that kind of stuff. Tonight, I'm giving tonight's race a 4 out of 10. I'm giving this race a really, really bad score. I know I've been really outspoken about Texas, and I was hoping this race would be good this week. I was really skeptical of it. I was hoping for a good race, but tonight's race was really not that good. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10, but that's my opinion. So anyway, that's going to be it for tonight's NASCAR Cup Series race review from Texas Motor Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications on so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that, and comment your thoughts below on tonight's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Tyler Reddick on picking up the victory. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video. We're going to be discussing about some NASCAR news that's been popping up in the last couple of days, and some F1 news as well that we're going to talk about. Tuesday will be race picks for the upcoming race at Talladega, and they've got other content that's on the way for you guys for the rest of this week that I think you're going to enjoy. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.